Wanna help the channel? Click on the affiliate links in the description for Amazon products. Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have a very special video. As you see on the screen right now, we are doing some dogfights and some BVR engagements 1v1, a MiG-23M versus the F-4E, early 70s loadout. So we have R23s Rs and R13Ms on the MiG, and on the F4 we have the E2, and of course from 1969 I think, and the M9J. So yeah, pretty cool loadout, and you're going to see that the MiG is really powerful no matter what. In BVR it lacks a little bit on performance on the missiles itself, and the F-4E it lacks performance on the radar itself. So this video is just on the Russian side, but I'm going to make more videos on the other sides as well, as the perspective of a MiG pilot basically. So the idea here in a dogfight, as you see right now, is that you're going to need to make the F4 bleed speed. Of course the F4 right now, of course I forgot to mention, we are not using flares or chaff, just the maneuvering and stuff like early 70s supposed to be. The F-4E can be very dangerous because of its slats, as you see right now, but the thing is, it bleeds a lot more speed than the MiG-23 eventually, you know. The turn ratio of the MiG-23 is a little bit shorter, but you have to think about the energy that the aircraft has, okay? So the F-4E has a lot of energy with both huge engines that it has, but it has a problem with the energy lost depending on if these slats are open or not. And when they are open, you turn a lot more than when they are closed, but you lose a lot more speed. So you need to be careful with that, with instantaneous turn with the against the F4. But in general, the MiG will win most of the dogfights if you do this type of energy trap situation, doing loops on top of the enemy. Basically the same type of, even though I got killed there, it's the same type of way of fighting when you're fighting a MiG-15 against a Saber, basically. As you see here, the BVR engagements are pretty amazing against the F-4E, because the radar of the MiG-23 is far superior from the F-4. My friend over there didn't even had the chance to actually lock me, and I fire both missiles. But as you see, he saw the missiles, and the R23 doesn't have the energy to actually turn as well as dogfighting AIM-7. But it's still a very capable missile in general. You just have to be careful that it doesn't have the energy, okay? And after that, without flares, of course, target destroyed. So yeah, another engagement, BVR again. So let's see. Of course, 19 kilometers, as you see. I'm going to get a couple of kills with the BVR, but normally I fire at 15 kilometers basically, and then I fire a little bit closer. But in the end, you're going to see in the last clip that I recorded, it's best just to fire both missiles when you are in a 1v1, of course, at far away. If you're not going to fire both missiles, just fire one. And I mean, if you know that you're not, I mean, if you know if you're in a 1v1, you just aren't going to use the second missile. So you just fire and go for the dogfight because of the weight. But if you are in a larger match, you should be able, you should like save the missile. So yeah, try to do a pass right there. Try to use a missile with the radar. I ended up being on the defensive position over here, and I started doing loops. As you're going to see, eventually the F4 will lose its energy sufficiently so that we can actually win the dogfight pretty easily. Okay, I'm not using the R60Ms, of course, they're from 1980 something, 82 I think. So yeah, but the R13s are pretty good. It's pretty cool to actually use the R13s because they are very comparable to the M9J in some ways. So yeah, continuing the looping until you can have the energy on the enemy. I'm using a little bit of flaps sometimes, but watch out for not breaking them. Here I had kind of all aspect shot, but I ended up not having the kill. And of course he's stalling out. So as you see, the energy that the F-4E has is very limited compared to the MiG-23. It can maintain the loop for a lot longer. The F-4E will eventually lose all of its energy and it will die. So you have to think about this, okay? If you're facing an F4, basically any F4, and you are going to go in a dogfight, just try to go in a loop, okay? In turn ratios, you can lose sometimes, but you can win as well. But in general, try to do loops. Try to do kind of an energy trap. As you see here, I'm notching very hard to try to defeat the missile. And because I fired the missile before he did, my missile connected before his missile could connect. So I fire missile, fire both missiles, and then I just crank a little bit or just notch a lot, depending on if I see him shooting a missile or not. Or even in general, if he had a lock on me, just go defensive, you never know. Look at that, that's a very dangerous shot, but the missile didn't connect as well. My missiles didn't connect as well, but we went for the dogfight. So the R-23 is a little bit harder to use than the R-24 or even the AIM-7s, but they're pretty capable. So try to fire them from 12 to 15 kilometers before the enemy actually sees the plume of smoke, and then you can actually have a kind of stealth kill, you know. He doesn't know that the missile is going for him, and if he's coming to you, the energy of the missile will be sufficient to actually hit a target from that far away, like any Sparrow or R-24 as well. But you have to be careful in general. As you see, you continue the loop. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting dogfight to see. Early 70s. Basically, the F-4E is a lot older than the MiG-23, but not a lot older. It's like 4 years older. But the thing is, the F-4E in this situation has the Agile Eagle package, so it has this advantage that the MiG-23 doesn't have. It's basically a 1976 F4, basically doesn't have the flares yet, and the MiG-23M is from 1974, I think. So they're pretty similar in general. I just say that the F4. My objective with this video was to show that the F-4E still has the capabilities of being a top-tier aircraft, and being a top-tier Air Force aircraft in general. But after this, I just cannot see the F4 being this good. As you see, yeah, the second missile got me, but I evaded, I think, 2 or 3 missiles before that. So, as you see, you don't need the chaff for flares. It helps a lot, but you just try to evade in general, doing notching and stuff. Yeah, this is the 4th missile, and I didn't have the maneuverability. So you have to be careful with the BVR. The missiles on the F-4E are pretty good. They're way better than the R-23, but the radar itself is worse. So my initial idea here on BVR is that go to the deck, okay? So the amount of ground clutter that the F-4E has is really high. It's really high. So just try to do this. Try to go to the deck, notch to downwards, you know, and just try to make sure. One rule of thumb that you can use is that if the target fires the missile before you, just try to fire your missile and directly go crazy, go apes, you know, go notching really hard, because the missile of the target will probably hit you before your missile go to your target. So you have to be careful with that. Maybe even if it's far enough away. Here we can see that the pilot my friend crashed, but in general, just try to make sure that the missile itself has the energy to hit the target. If it's far away from you. You know, it's 14, 15 kilometers, and the target is already fired at you, and you cannot get a solution to fire at him. Just go away, okay? Turn away, turn 180 degrees, and just try to evade the missile. Your life is more important than defeating a guy, you know? One kill is not worth the amount of silver lions and the support that you're going to make your friends lose if you die, okay? So try to maintain your speed, maintain your life. It's the most important thing in a dogfight and in a match in general, okay? So here we have another. Yeah, I got too greedy there and just went for the head-on. In general, you can see that the most times that I got killed are just things that I do wrong. This situation from now on, we just had no standard procedure. We did everything that we wanted it to beat the other guy. So one of the strategies that he used is to actually climb to try to use the radar, and one of the strategies that I used is to actually go lower and try to make him not see me. As you see, I fired a second R23 at 5 kilometers, which is pretty dumb actually. The R23 is a medium range missile, so try to use it as a medium range missile. Don't try to fire it at nearby close ranges. Only if it's the R23T, of course. Not using that. I'm showing a little bit on BVR here. And I didn't want any all aspect missiles because he didn't have flares or anything like that. So yeah, would be kind of unfair. But in general, try to use the missile at 10 kilometers more than that. As I said before, 12 to 15. It's a great distance. The missile will turn a lot, and will get the target if it doesn't turn a lot and doesn't realize. Especially if you make the target doesn't realize that the missile is in the air, you're going to get the guy. So here we have a second time battle that I actually tried to do whatever tactic we wanted. Fire the missile from 14 kilometers. The missile was tracking pretty alright, but then he changed it completely the direction because he saw me going down. If he didn't change the direction, he would be killed. As you see, the R23 doesn't even track for a couple of seconds, so yeah, you're not gonna hit anything nearby you with the R23R, okay? Try to use the R13, but was pretty optimistic. Here we have a situation that I just pull out the afterburner, air brake and flaps, and made him basically stall. And I didn't stall because I lost the speed and maintained the flaps up, so the flaps down. So you have to be careful with that. It's a very good tactic when both of your aircraft are flying upwards, and you know. This is a very interesting situation to see how effective the radar of the MiG-23 is. Look how low he has to be to the ground to actually make the radar lose the lock. So yeah, the radar on the MiG-23 is pretty amazing, even though the radar on the F-4E is pretty good. In my opinion, I still prefer to use the radar on the MiG-23s. They're pretty amazing because you don't have to use the pulse Doppler, and you still hit targets, and it's still very effective at low altitudes. I don't know what the hell the Russians did, but they managed to make a radar that it's a normal radar that has a lot of sensitivity doing ground stuff, you know, close to the ground. So yeah, as you see, I just need to do the loops and I just defeat the guy. I mean, it's really easy. I mean, the F-4E is not comparable to the MiG-23 in low altitudes and dogfights. So the main things that I have to talk about here is like I said before, the weak points of the F-4 are the radar and the turn capability continuously, and the weak points on the MiG-23 are the lack of a better missile, basically a radar guided missile, And of course the amount of flares. I'm not using flares right now, but yeah, as you see, the target was going to be hit, but he changed the direction before that. And the other weak point that the MiG has is the amount of missiles. Of course, it only has 4 missiles in this case, or 6 with the 460s, but only 2 radar missiles. This could be a problem sometimes, but yeah, in general, the strong points of the F4, of course, are the missiles. The E2s are pretty amazing at dogfights and stuff like that. So if you have the altitude, the Sparrow's E2s are pretty dangerous. They're really dangerous, and this is kind of all aspect shot on the on the F4. Um, and of course the strong points, of course, like I was saying, the missiles of the F4, and in general the speed. It has 2 very strong engines, so yeah, this is very good. And the strong points of the MiG, of course, are the radar, and in general the missiles, the IR missiles are pretty good. The R13M is one of the best missiles already, and the R60M is the best missile in game IR wise in aviation. It's just that, of course, the flare buff and stuff like that made the R60M not that powerful, but still the most turning and capable aircraft with a very good sensor in general. So, but we're not using the R60M in general, but still the maneuverability, another very strong point, as I said before, on the MiG-23M. Okay, so yeah, let's end it up seeing this cool dogfight, a very long dogfight. As I said, pull the G's on the loop and try to make him lose the energy. Kind of a rolling scissors there. It can actually be pretty effective as well. Continue the energy trap, basically. Very dangerous one. Then I decided that I was doing too much rolling. As I said before, in a turn fight with turn rates, the F4 probably will win, but I didn't want it to make him win anytime. So yeah, make the loop and you're going to end up getting the F4. Look at him. He's already he lost completely. The energy that he lost is completely destroyed, and I have the energy to continue doing the loops. I did not know how I missed that, and I think he's going to crash. No. I think he crashed. I almost crashed here. Yeah, I almost crashed and then he crashed. Look at that, almost, and then he crashed. So yeah, you eventually are losing a lot of energy, but the MiG just maintains. And this is the last clip. So I see you guys on the next one. Just keep an eye out for this amazing R23 kill. So I fire both missiles, and he didn't see the missiles coming. It was pretty good. 13-kilometer shot with both R23s. Pretty good. A low altitude. Look at the altitude that he's flying. Yeah, pretty good, right? So I see you guys on the next one. Subscribe and bye, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video.